Hello, everybody. Today, I will discuss to you another topic. Ayong adlaw, and this has something to do still with the philosophy of education. But this time, let's be traditional because we'll be discussing about perennialism. If you heard already the word everlasting, and that is the only tagline, that is the only words that really connects with perennialism, we are going to answer some of the questions like what is the importance of perennialism in educations? What is perennialism in education example? Is perennialism a teacher-centered? Who proposes the perennialism? And what perennialism describe the main features of a perennialist educational curriculum? I'll be discussing to you also the techniques and how we are going to really deliver our lesson following this educational philosophy, which is the perennialism. Let me just share my screen this time. All right, so I am already in my presentation, and I will give you again the overview or discussion of this educational philosophy. But before that, I will just first flash this um, sayings of or the ano of Robert Hutchins. According to Robert Hutchins, he believes that the object of education is to prepare the young to educate themselves throughout their selves. All right. So this is how Robert Hutchins um, um, describe what is perennialism all about. So I will give you the overview of perennialism for you to really understand. It only talks about, it teach the things that one deems to be of everlasting. Like what I've mentioned a while ago, that when you read the word perennialism, it connects with everlasting, always everlasting, and also pertinence to all people everywhere. Another is instead of teaching facts, they teach principles. All right, if you are this type of teacher, then somewhat you are a perennialist teacher also. So instead of you teaching the facts about photosynthesis, the facts about the elections, you are now going to teach principles. Saan natin makukuha itong mga principles is nakukuha natin ito sa mga writers or sa mga great books. Example, ginagamit nila itong mga Bibles, etong mga books na may mga naka-interpret na mga principles. Alright? And also, their teaching is based on the ancient knowledge of classic books. Alright? So, their focus is really on the classic books. So, if ikaw, teacher, bago ka magturo, pupunta ka muna sa library, kukunin mo muna yung mga books about science, English, mathematics, based on principles. Alright? So, everlasting truths are learned through art, history, and literature. That's why we concluded that perennialism is a teacher-centered teaching. All right. So because you are going to teach art, history, and literature, it is more on reading. All right. It is more on principles. This is just an overview about perennialism. So this time we will identify if what is really the role of a teacher under perennialism. So first is to help students understand the principle of human knowledge, right? Human knowledge. And in a board exam, the term is still everlasting, but there are terms na sinasabi nila kapag ginagamit itong mga great books, mga history, and that is a perennialism, mga historian. And another is the role of the teacher. They are called tutor. In some philosophy of education, some other teachers are facilitator, mga nag-ignite ng mga information, but this time, tutor, yung role ng teacher. And next is, it leads discussion in the classroom. Si teacher ang nagsisimula ng discussion sa loob ng classroom, hindi si students. Alright? Hindi niya kino-consider yung mga experiences, yung mga schema ng mga students. But again, si teacher ang nag-lead ng discussion sa loob ng classroom. it's not like this time, like tinatanong natin ang students kung ano yung experience niya, but this type of philosophy is really the teacher will input information, will discuss the lesson. So, like what I've mentioned, it is teacher-centered. Last is, it guides, all right? It only guides and mentors whose task is not to transmit information, but to pose questions that further students' ability to develop as thinkers in their own right. This is St. John's website. So, instead of us, okay, we'll form a group in some other philosophy. We'll form a group where there is an active learning. But in perennialism, is just we'll just give information and post, and then you give questions, and after that one, you let the student to think critically out of the questions. But again, the discussion is really aligned with the art, and also history. Saan nila kinukuha yung information? Sa mga books. Alright. Kasi doon naniniwala ang teacher na ito na lahat ng meron sa books is yun yung dapat maituro sa ating mga students. So now, ano naman kaya yung role ng ating mga students? So titingnan ng ating mga teacher and students as learning for learner's sake. Right? Hinahayaan natin ang bata if willing ba siya makinig, and if interested ba siya doon sa mga history. So sila yung responsible sa kanilang mga learnings. Example, if you are discussing about the history and if they are not listening, for as long as you're done with your discussion and you will not go back to that discussion again. Right? So next is to practice taught moral values. That's why still we need a perennialist teacher nowadays, because some of our students are nakukulangan tayo sa moral values. Because again, we need to develop not only the knowledge, skills, but also the attitude. Okay? So that is where moral values will come in. Another role of our students is individuals should think deeply, analytically, flexibly, and imaginatively. Kasi again, if you are going to talk about Rizal, then what you're going to do is, first, some teachers are creative. They're going to ask their students to watch video. But kailangan ng mga bata na maging imaginative, maging flexible, maging analytical. Kasi nga, yung role ng teacher is to provide or to produce critical thinker students. Alright? A critical thinker students and in line with history, arts, and principles. Alright, so that is the role of our students. Next is, how about in the curriculum? Right, in the curriculum, it is everlasting. Right, it is everlasting, not changeable, hindi nababago. So, ano yung mga subjects in every curriculum na hindi nababago? And one example is yung Rizal. Alright, Rizal is already part of the curriculum na kailangan ituturo talaga sa ating mga students. Another, here in the Philippines, is the Constitution and Bylaws. Alright, kailangan malaman ng mga students. And also, may mga values education. So in values education subject, we are teaching moral values to our students. Yung mga right conducts like simple, good, po and opo of our students. So yun ang mga everlasting topics or curriculum, right, under perennialism. Another is, it is little flexible kasi nga they will not go through with the facts, right? So they will not go through with the facts rather than principle. So it is a little flexible. And again, it is classic books. Like example, ito, the Iliad, Homer by Homer, and another is War and Peace. These are some example of a classic books. And another for the curriculum is to sharpen intellectual powers, like intellectual powers. We are teaching our students. We are introducing them the principles. So now they know already kung ano yung mga rights nila. They know already on how to act appropriately in a public, in a private, in a forum, or any other social interactions. And another is, we are going to enhance the moral qualities of our students. That's why, masasabi natin na before, napakadami pang perennialist teachers. Alright? Ngayon, kailangan natin ng mas madaming perennialist teachers kasi nga sila yung sila yung mga nagtuturo sa atin ng magandang asal. Okay? So, based on my observations, na there are some students na who they are really good in terms sa content, but the values, the EQ, the emotional quotient is also very important. All right, so that is where perennialist teacher will come in. Another, aside from curriculum, all right, this is another. Robert Hutchins in 1973, the great books. Ito yung niya sa mga bakit pa nga ba kailangan ito mga great books at introduce natin sa mga bata. The great books were the most promising avenue accordingly. Doon daw, yun yung best avenue to liberal education, if only because they are teacher or prof, if there were a Socrates behind every teacher's desk. You would not need to worry about the curriculum, according to Robert Hutchins, if you are a perennialist teacher. And another is, how about for instructional techniques? Ano naman tayo magtuturo? Ano naman kayo mga strategy na gagamitin natin? So, instructional techniques under perennialism is first is reading, writing, and arithmetic still existing. Next is methods believed to be beneficial to disciplining students' minds. Alright, that's why moral values qualities ang dinidevelop ng ating mga perennialist teachers. They are yung mga disciplinary natin. Right? So next is focus on tests and writing. At tinitest natin sila, binibigyan natin sila ng assessment, and pinapasulat natin sila para malaman natin as to kung paano nila naintindihan yung concept, right? Kung paano nila naintindihan, and i-assess natin based sa moral qualities of our students. Another is, lectures are rare, instead use intense questioning. Alright, at kapag may mga naano tayo ng mga teachers na palagi nagtatanong, relates to history, and that they are perennialists. Alright? So, questioning to reveal new insight rather than lecture. But again, do not forget that this philosophy is still a teacher-centered. Okay? A teacher-centered. Another is yung learning environment. Alright, learning environment inside the classroom, either online or face-to-face or limited face-to-face. So the learning environment of this philosophy is a teacher-controlled. Right? Teacher-controlled. Next is traditional discipline. Alright, traditional discipline. Kapag yung nagkasala ka sa loob ng classroom, nilalagay ng mga books, pinapatayo ka, yun ang mga traditional discipline na ginagawa. Pinapalabas ka, pinapagawa ka ng mga excuse letter, yun yung mga traditional discipline. And now, hindi na siya masyado nag-exist, even in mas lalo na sa online kasi nga wala tayong control sa attendance. So, how can we discipline our students in that aspects? But again, the perennialist is very particular with the attendance, with yung time management, because they are teaching moral values or qualities of being professionally in terms of EQ and IQ. Another is teachers lead discussion, teacher-centered. Socrates method. Ano itong Socrates method? Open dialogue. Bakit open dialogue? Kasi nga nag-i-introduce ang teacher by asking question. Right? Bago siya magdi-discuss, sabihin niya muna, mag-a-ask muna siya ng question. Right? And last is, teachers are not concerned with students' interests and experiences. Ito lang yung kaibahan if we are going to really follow through with perennialism in education. So, you don't care about the student's interest. If gusto mo ng computer inside the classroom, if gusto mo i-discuss about this topic, hindi siya ma-appreciate ng isang teacher na perennialist. And also the experiences. May mga teachers na nagtatanong sila ng question. Kapag sinasagot sila ng bata, based on their experience, hindi sila maniwala doon. Alright? Gusto ng teacher is based sa principles. Alright? Based sa principles, not sa experiences, not sa interest. Again, a perennialism is an everlasting and use the great books and the historian. Another is they are a teacher-centered. They follow a teacher-centered approach inside the classroom. All right. So that ends my presentation about perennialism. I hope that you learned something new. Again, the term under this philosophy is everlasting. Hindi nababago in terms of curriculum, in terms of teachers, teacher-centered, and also Socrates, open dialogue, questioning. All right? So, bye-bye and see you in my next video.